It's a beautiful morning. Many thanks for joining us today. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Uganda. I'm Olive Monica Najuma, and right next to me is Jerome Paul Sonko, looking very demure and cutesy and mindful. Actually, the screen doesn't even do him justice, but you're welcome. It's a brand new day and you start your day, and so we are here so that we can start that day together. Now, the other day, there was the presidential debate in the United States where Kamala Harris and the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, faced off together. Now, results are in, and opinion polls from political commentators are stating that Kamala could have beaten Trump to this. Even commentators at Fox News, which is a conservative channel and is really on the side of the former president, seems to agree that Kamala beat the former president, hands down in the debate. But it's important for you to note that Americans do not vote based on the results of the debate. So both candidates have to still confirm to their electorate that they are worth the vote of becoming the next president of the United States for the next 4 years. Also, it's important to note that if Donald Trump doesn't go through this time, well, his time would be done for. He will not be able to stand for president again. Personally, I can't wait to see a time when there is a female president ruling over the country that claims to be a free country where dreams become a reality. Well, that's for me the exciting news. But now, when we look back at the Environmental Protection Agency, or the environment that makes sure that our wetlands are not being encroached on, and that is the National Environment Management Authority, they have released a plan they have commenced the second phase of wetland restoration exercise in the Greater Kampala area, and now they are focusing primarily on the Luigi section. The operation began in Kawala along the northern bypass. So I believe this week and sometime next week we are going to be getting reports coming in from those that are being evicted from these areas. Just the same thing we witnessed in Luigi. Though NEMA says that they've learned from the past restoration exercise and they are going to do a better job than they did last time. Now, today being Thursday, what do we throw back to? Third term is about to start. It's around the corner, starts on Monday. So boarding section students, I believe, will be returning to school on Saturday and also on Sunday. And then the day scholars will be reporting to school on Monday. Now, normally we say, when you don't have money, some parents are like, Casteno term CA, it's not the promotional term. But now this is the promotional term, so I don't know how school fees week is back at your home. I pray that your wallet and your pockets may receive a blessing so that your children can go back to school for the promotional term. But still speaking about the promotional term, today being a throwback Thursday, I am curious about the students. How do they prepare? Because for us back in the day, that was the term that made or broke you. And even to this day, it's the term where you must pull up your socks and ensure that you progress to the next class. And that's no mean feat. So for the semi-candidates and the other scholars that are not in candidate classes, this is the term. But also for the candidates, this is the term when they get to sit their national exams. Well, I would like to check on Jerome Sonko, who is looking very demure this morning. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
How are you?
I am well. You've mentioned something about the third term election, the third term preparations.
Yes.
And I'm throwing back to such a time because, like you've said, it was a term that breaks you.
Yes.
Or makes you.
Right.
And in most cases, our parents were very strict during these days of, third term. Especially when we were in the holidays. Your mother or your father would remind you of revising your books, meaning you had no time to spend on watching television or watching movies. Every time you saw your mom coming and you're watching TV, you had to rush back to the bedroom. Yeah. I don't know how it is these days, but when you look at the fact that there is a new curriculum where students are going to be sitting it for the first time this very year, you know, it's kind of gives a huge set of pressure for them because they have to deliver. Because it's on this particular year when we have to evaluate and see, were we prepared for this curriculum? Were the students well prepared? Do they even know what they need to do to succeed in these particular exams? But that said, you've mentioned something about the Kamala Harris and Donald Trump debate.
Yes.
And when you also mentioned among the people who agreed that this was a debate where Kamala Harris definitely came out on top, and even one of Donald Trump's strongest supporters, who is the ex-CEO, and that is Elon Musk, came out and revealed that when it comes to the reality, Donald Trump was defeated hands down in this particular debate. However, he came back and said that it does not mean that his candidate that he's supporting is not the right candidate. He feels like maybe he was, maybe Kamala was more prepared for this than Donald Trump, meaning Donald Trump has to go back and make some revision. That is, if at all we expect another presidential debate coming up, he has to come up and prepare accordingly.
Jerome, this could be his last, but I have problems agreeing with Elon Musk. It's like when you go for an interview, you know what they say, you have one chance to make the first impression. Donald impressed in the debate he had with Joe Biden.
True.
So much so that Joe Biden had to stand down and create room for Kamala Harris to contest. But now when you tell me, oh, he didn't do well, but it doesn't mean he's the right person. They were dealing with questions American people are asking. I remember he was asked a question on childcare that has become extremely unaffordable for many Americans, and he blubbered. One commentator said he gave us a salad of an answer. I like that phrase.
One of the common things I learned about him was saying that people are eating, they're eating cats and dogs in the US, and I think it was something to,
about
you know, yes. I think he was just getting away from the script of what the question was all about.
Yes.
But Olive, we shall be following to see how these elections will pan out. But with that debate, it clearly shows us that we're going to be having a very interesting election in the US, and of course we have to follow because they also follow our elections this way.
Of course.
And so we shall be giving you updates about the same. But also back home here, there's a sizable there's a sizable group of members attached to the Democratic Party who have opposed the move by Honorable Lumu Richard that the opposition leader should be voted by the opposition members of parliament. Now, the sizable members of the Democratic Party include the deputy vice president of the party.
Who is that?
Is Honorable Mukasa Mbide, who came out and revealed that this is a complex proposal, and meaning it does not, it is not realistic from their side of things. So meaning Honorable Richard Lumu has to go back and maybe sit down with his Democratic Party, you know, fellows to at least come to an understanding of why he wanted this particular, you know, bill passed in Parliament and why he had come up with such a proposal.
Also, you have to look at the timing with 2026 around the corner. Everyone is trying to get their 5 minutes of fame and also trying to get known that, oh, by the way, that person is also there. But now speaking about the opposition, Jerome, another thing, I saw a headline yesterday that claimed that Honorable Abdu Katuntu and Mapenduzi have crossed over to the NRM party.
Someone responded to that saying time in Uganda can expose a lot of things. And, you know, it's not a shocker as much because we've seen so many headliners moving from different parties, especially the biggest opposition parties back then. Even when you look at the current Speaker to Parliament, the fact that she was a staunch FDC,
the current IGG,
even the deputy, you know, speaker, rather the deputy speaker to Parliament. When you look at such headlines, and more so when we are coming closer to the polls in 2026, I'm still expecting more of more position leaders heading the other side.
Well, we will know them by their fruits. And here's the thing, joining the ruling party has no problem. But my challenge here is that some of these members of parliament are not joining the ruling party to progress, but they are joining it sometimes for their own selfish needs. That's where the problem is, because the party has its structures and policies, and it needs to have people that join it for the greater good, be it opposition.
And most of them are closing into retirement age, meaning they just want to go there for the bag.
Exactly. But anyway, speaking about the bag, let's see what is in the bag for the local news.
And well, of course, we start off with the CDF, because General Muhoozi Kainerugaba has heaped praises on China and Russia for being good friends of the African continent. The CDF was speaking today at the first Kampala, yesterday at the first Kampala Defense and Security Expo. That is at the Speak Resort, Munyonyo. Now, that three-day event is being held in memory of the late General Aronda Nyakairima, the former and longest-serving Chief of Defense Forces, who died on 12 September 2015. Now, day two of the first Kampala Defense and Security Expo was attended mostly by high-ranking military officers from Egypt, Kenya, China, Russia, France, Democratic Republic of Congo, then there was South Sudan, Rwanda, among the other countries there. Now, in his presentation on the impact of the impact of the world on Africa's security posture, the Chief of Defense Forces, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, began by highlighting how Africa suffered because of the significant influence European powers held over other countries. Now, the CDF stressed the significance of African countries uniting. Now, in a panel discussion on multipolarity, the former Inspector General of Police, General Kale Kayihura, also expressed similar views as the Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs, Jacob Oboth, while speaking to the reporters on the sidelines of this Securities Expo, said Uganda is gradually positioning itself as a military superpower on the global stage. Now, Africa is the only region without a permanent seat, despite representing 54 of the 193 members of the UN and 17% of the world's population. But it's still mired in conflicts that makes it hard to have a say on global affairs. Now, elsewhere, Chisoro district leaders held a special council sitting to honor the late Sarah Mateke, woman member of parliament and Minister of State for Defense and Veteran Affairs, who passed away on Saturday morning shortly after being admitted to Mengo Hospital in Kampala. Her remains were airlifted by a UPDF plane landing at the Chisoro airstrip in Nyakabande sub-county before being transported to her home for the council meeting. The Chisoro District Council endorsed Ruth Nyiraneza Mateke, Sarah Mateke's younger sister, as her successor. Then John Kamara Niezimana, Member of Parliament for Bufumbira South County, presented Ruth as the family's proposed successor, aiming to prevent confusion similar to the Buchimbiri by-election. Now, Eddie Kwizera Wagahungu, Member of Parliament for Buchimbiri counties, supported this choice and urged potential candidates to wait until 2026 general elections to avoid resource wastage. Now, local leaders, including Rubanda District LC5 Chairman Stephen Ampeire Kashiaba and Kabale District LC5 Chairman Nelson Nshagabasheija, supported the decision, believing in a family member who would convert the electorate. Ramadhan Ndikuyenzi, the vice chairperson of the Chisoro District NRM party, highlighted that only a family member could complete Sarah Mateke's ongoing projects. Additionally, the council approved the motion by Chisoro District LC5 Chairman Abel Bizimana to name a new playground at Shaja Ground, the Sarah Mateke Stadium, in her honor. Now, back to the Central region, because the government has reaffirmed its commitment to strengthening collaboration with the Buganda Kingdom to support initiatives. With the Central to support the local initiatives and promoting cultural values. Now, this particular one was announced during a meeting between Buganda Kingdom officials and the Minister for Gender, Labour and Social Development, Betty Amongi, during her courtesy visit to the Katikiro at Bulange Mengo. Now, the Minister for Gender, Labour and Social Development, Betty Amongi, visited Buganda's Katikiro, Charles Peter Maiga, to discuss various matters concerning the kingdom and the central government. Katikiro, Peter Maiga emphasized the importance of collaborating with the Ministry of Gender to preserve culture and implement socio-economic programs for the benefit of both Buganda and Uganda. Mike also stressed that the respect for culture is key to a nation's development, urging everyone to honor cultural values and norms. On the other side, the Minister, Betty Amongi, commended the Katikiro for his efforts to promote activities aimed at improving livelihoods and pledged the government's support for Kingdom projects. She added that as the ministry is responsible for cultural institutions, her visit to Bulange also aimed to strengthen cooperation with the Kingdom, noting that Buganda plays a central role in preserving Uganda's cultural identity. Amongi was accompanied by the State Minister for Kampala, Kabuye Fatogabye, and the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Gender, Agre Chibenge, among others. Now, lastly, from the local scene, the National Environment Management Authority has commenced the second phase of its restoration exercise in the Greater Kampala area, focusing primarily on the Luigi section. The operation began in Kawala along the northern bypass, where several flower nursery beds were dismantled. After a 2-month pause, NEMA has resumed its phased restoration effort in the area with a particular focus on Luigi, and the recent phase, which began in Kawala along the northern bypass, caused significant losses for nursery bed operators as their operations were dismantled during the exercise. Now, some nursery bed operators claim that they were unable to relocate in time due to a lack of prior restoration orders before the eviction. The second phase of the restoration follows a meeting between NEMA and relevant stakeholders that was held on September 10th in Luigi, which reviewed the progress of the first phase of the restoration. This operation had been temporarily paused to allow individuals in areas with existing restoration orders to relocate without disruption. Now, NEMA Senior Public Relations Officer Williams Luburwa revealed that the restoration effort is continuing with the goal of rehabilitating degraded wetlands and conserving the environment. He appealed to all those still occupying gazetted wetlands to cooperate with the restoration teams and avoid unnecessary conflicts.
Well, that does it for local news. Now, let's look at international news, where in the hours following Kamala Harris and Donald Trump's first and possibly last in-person face-to-face political face-to-face-off, that is their debate, political commentators and unofficial polls seemed to largely crown her the winner of the night. A CNN poll revealed that debate watchers declared Harris a winner by a comfortable 63-37 margin. A YouGov poll had Harris winning by 43-28 among registered voters. Even pundits at Fox News, the conservative TV network, agreed she bested Donald Trump. Now, Harris rattled Trump, baited him on the size of his rallies, and both she and the moderators pushed back and instantly fact-checked some of his most extravagant claims. While she did not offer much substance on some of the issues most pressing to voters, like immigration, she exuded a level of confidence critics previously said she lacked, and left the debate stage beaming as her opponent stewed. Then, to top the evening off, Taylor Swift endorsed Kamala Harris. It may all matter little. Official post-debate polls of undecided voters have not been released yet and will take several days, but it is not clear whether either candidate's performance will change many minds. Now, moving on to Israel's military Israel's war in Gaza. Israel's military bombed the UN-operated Al-Jaouni school in central Gaza, killing at least 18 people. Witnesses say women and children were blown to pieces in the assault. 6 of the victims were UNRWA staff, including the manager of the shelter. The agency said it was the highest death toll for its staff in a single incident in the 11-month war. Hamas told mediators it was ready to implement the U.S. proposed UN-backed truce proposal without any new conditions from any party. At least 41,084 people have been killed and 95,029 wounded in Israel's war on Gaza. In Israel, the number of those killed in the Hamas-led attacks on October 7th is at least 1,139, while more than 200 people were taken captive. And lastly, from our international news, looking at Kenya, hundreds of staff at Kenya's main airport have gone on strike over a planned buyout by India's Adani Group, grounding flights and leaving passengers stranded. Workers at Nairobi's Jomo Kenyatta International Airport began their protests at about midnight on Tuesday, continuing into Wednesday, objecting to a planned deal to lease the facility to the Adani Group for 30 years in return for an investment of $1.85 billion. The government said the build and operate agreement with the Indian conglomerate would see Jomo Kenyatta International Airport renovated and an additional runway and terminal constructed. The Kenya Airport Workers Union, which is leading the strike and is the biggest union representing Kenya's aviation workers, said the deal would cut jobs and worsen employment conditions. Other critics said the takeover would deny taxpayers future profits from the airport, whose freight and passenger fees make up more than 5% of Kenya's gross domestic product. Well, with that, we now close our international news, but the dailies are always highlighting something or two, and Jerome Paul will take us through that.
All right, now with the new vision, over 1,800 get student loans according to the new vision. With that list of beneficiaries inside, also to sign agreements with the government with these loans in place. There is also successful loan applicants. A list of that, of all of that, is in the new vision. Now, government announces 5 more cities. Which cities are those? Find more in the new vision. Then, the Toro King marks 29 years on throne. Read about the that anniversary, which is slated for today. And, well, more of that and the updates following the same will be coming your way here on your national broadcaster. Now, missing drugs, Mbale Hospital director and 5 others have been arrested as the Ghetto Youth Launch 2026 Museveni Drive. More of that is in the new vision. Now, more of that is a pictorial of the Toro King marking 29 years on the throne as of yesterday during the celebrations. David Baguma, a member of Basita clan, presenting a royal drum before King Oyo, performing the Mpango Riches, which was included, sounding the drums 9 times and blessing the royal regalia as the Queen and Queen Mother Bestie Migisha observed. This was yesterday at the Karuzika Hill in Fort Portal on the eve of the celebrations which are happening today. Now, also in Kenya, the Daily Nation, chaos at airports. Reprieve, government and labor officials move to secure a suspension of the workers' boycott because all the airports within Kenya were on strike yesterday, affecting many of the flights. Now, Raila hands ODM mantle to Nyong'o as he seeks African Union top post. Then how Tiff with U.S. wife landed Dida in prison. Read about that report. Then at the Glace, early this year, Adani made a proposal to the Kenya Airports Authority to run Jomo Kenyatta International Airport under a 30-year concession. Will that be allowed? More of the mystery, more of the strikes. The report is with the Daily Nation. Come clean on Adani, Jomo Kenyatta International Airport deal to avert crisis, according to the commentators. Now, also in the U.S. debate, they're eating our pets, Donald Trump says of migrants as he faces off with Kamala Harris in U.S. presidential debate. Now, Ruto orders audit of safety compliance in all schools as varsity lecturers issue strike notice in pay dispute. Then lastly, from our press reviews, The Citizen, where the money is in blue economy. Now, the Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa yesterday urged local and foreign investors to participate in the global $2.3 trillion blue economy and outline potential lucrative areas they can put their money into. Then also King Kenya, the man behind those rib-tickling editorial cartoons of The Citizen, as The Citizen celebrates 20 years. Wrong crop weights hurting more than just farmers, according to The Citizen, as Dar Port set to drive Zambia exports after Tazara deal. More of that is in our dailies this morning.
And as we come back from the dailies, we will leave you with a throwback song for the day. This one is one I love very much. From Celine Dion, Goodbye is the saddest word.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
It's a beautiful morning. Many thanks for joining us today. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Uganda. I'm Olive Monica Najuma, and right next to me is Jerome Paul Sonko, looking very demure and cutesy and mindful. Actually, the screen doesn't even do him justice, but you're welcome. It's a brand new day, and you start your day, and so we are here so that we can start that day together. Now, the other day, there was the presidential debate in the United States where Kamala Harris and the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, faced off together. Now, results are in, and opinion polls from political commentators are stating that Kamala could have beaten Trump to this. Even commentators at Fox News, which is a conservative channel and is really on the side of the former president, seems to agree that Kamala beat the former president, hands down in the debate. But it's important for you to note that Americans do not vote based on the results of the debate. So both candidates have to still confirm to their electorate that they are worth the vote of becoming the next president of the United States for the next 4 years. Also, it's important to note that if Donald Trump doesn't go through this time, well, his time would be done for. He will not be able to stand for president again. Personally, I can't wait to see a time when there is a female president ruling over the country that claims to be a free country where dreams become a reality. Well, that's for me the exciting news. But now, when we look back at the Environmental Protection Agency, or the environment that makes sure that our wetlands are not being encroached on, and that is the National Environment Management Authority, they have released a plan they have commenced the second phase of wetland restoration exercise in the greater Kampala area, and now they are focusing primarily on the Luigi section. The operation began in Kawala along the northern bypass. So I believe this week and sometime next week we are going to be getting reports coming in from those that are being evicted from these areas. Just the same thing we witnessed in Luigi. Though NEMA says that they've learned from the past restoration exercise, and they are going to do a better job than they did last time. Now, today being Thursday, what do we throw back to? Third term is about to start. It's around the corner, starts on Monday. So boarding section students, I believe, will be returning to school on Saturday and also on Sunday. And then the day scholars will be reporting to school on Monday. Now, normally we say, when you don't have money, some parents are like, Casteno term CA, it's not the promotional term. But now this is the promotional term, so I don't know how school fees week is back at your home. I pray that your wallet and your pockets may receive a blessing so that your children can go back to school for the promotional term. But still speaking about the promotional term, today being a throwback Thursday, I am curious about the students. How do they prepare? Because for us back in the day, that was the term that made or broke you. And even to this day, it's the term where you must pull up your socks and ensure that you progress to the next class. And that's no mean feat. So for the semi-candidates and the other scholars that are not in candidate classes, this is the term. But also for the candidates, this is the term when they get to sit their national exams. Well, I would like to check on Joram Sonko, who is looking very demure this morning. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
How are you?
I am well. You've mentioned something about the third term election, the third term preparations.
Yes.
And I'm throwing back to such a time because, like you've said, it was a term that breaks you.
Yes.
Or makes you.
Right.
And in most cases, our parents were very strict during these days of, third term, especially when we were in the holidays. Your mother or your father would remind you of revising your books, meaning you had no time to spend on watching television or watching movies. Every time you saw your mom coming and you're watching TV, you had to rush back to the bedroom.
Yeah.
I don't know how it is these days, but when you look at the fact that there is a new curriculum where students are going to be sitting it for the first time this very year, it's kind of gives a huge set of pressure for them because they have to deliver. Because it's on this particular year when we have to evaluate and see, were we prepared for this curriculum? Were the students well prepared? Do they even know what they need to do to succeed in these particular exams? But that said, you've mentioned something about the Kamala Harris and Donald Trump debate.
Yes.
And when you also mentioned among the people who agreed that this was a debate where Kamala Harris definitely came out on top, and even one of Donald Trump's strongest supporters, who is the ex-CEO, and that is Elon Musk,
yes,
came out and revealed that when it comes to the reality, Donald Trump was defeated hands down in this particular debate. However, he came back and said that it does not mean that his candidate that he's supporting is not the right candidate. He feels like maybe he was, maybe Kamala was more prepared for this than Donald Trump, meaning Donald Trump has to go back and make some revision. That is, if at all we expect another presidential debate coming up, he has to come up and prepare accordingly.
Jerome, this could be his last, but I have problems agreeing with Elon Musk. It's like when you go for an interview, you know what they say, you have one chance to make the first impression? Donald impressed in the debate he had with Joe Biden.
True.
So much so that Joe Biden had to stand down and create room for Kamala Harris to contest. But now when you tell me, oh, he didn't do well, but it doesn't mean he's the right person. They were dealing with questions American people are asking. I remember he was asked a question on childcare that has become extremely unaffordable for many Americans, and he blubbered. One commentator said he gave us a salad of an answer. I like that phrase.
One of the common things I learned about him was saying that people are eating, they're eating cats and dogs in the US, and I think it was something to,
about
yes. I think he was just getting away from the script of what the question was all about.
Yes.
But Olive, we shall be following to see how these elections will pan out. But with that debate, it clearly shows us that we're going to be having a very interesting election in the US, and of course we have to follow because they also follow our elections this way.
Of course.
And so we shall be giving you updates about the same. But also back home here,
yes,
there's a sizable there's a sizable group of members attached to the Democratic Party who have opposed the move by Honorable Lumu Richard that the opposition leader should be voted by the opposition members of parliament. Now, the sizable members of the Democratic Party include the deputy vice president of the party.
Who is that?
Is Honorable Mukasa Mbide, who came out and revealed that this is a complex proposal, and meaning it does not, it is not realistic from their side of things. So meaning Honorable Richard Lumu has to go back and maybe sit down with these Democratic Party fellows to at least come to an understanding of why he wanted this particular, bill passed in Parliament and why he had come up with such a proposal.
Also, you have to look at the timing with 2026 around the corner. Everyone is trying to get their 5 minutes of fame and also trying to get known that, oh, by the way, that person is also there. But now speaking about the opposition, Jerome, another thing, I saw a headline yesterday that claimed that Honorable Abdu Katuntu and Mapenduzi have crossed over to the NRM party.
Someone responded to that saying time in Uganda can expose a lot of things. And, you know, it's not a shocker as much because we've seen so many headliners moving from different parties, especially the biggest opposition parties back then. Even when you look at the current Speaker to Parliament, the fact that she was a staunch FDC,
the current IGG,
even the deputy, speaker, rather the deputy speaker to Parliament. When you look at such headlines, and more so when we are coming closer to the polls in 2026, I'm still expecting more of more position leaders heading the other side.
Well, we will know them by their fruits. And here's the thing, joining the ruling party has no problem. But my challenge here is that some of these members of parliament are not joining the ruling party to progress, but they are joining it sometimes for their own selfish needs. That's where the problem is, because the party has its structures and policies, and it needs to have people that join it for the greater good, be it opposition.
And most of them are closing into retirement age, meaning they just want to go there for the bag.
Exactly. But anyway, speaking about the bag, let's see what is in the bag for the local news.
And well, of course, we start off with the CDF, because General Muhoozi Kainerugaba has heaped praises on China and Russia for being good friends of the African continent. The CDF was speaking today at the first yesterday at the first Kampala Defense and Security Expo. That is at the Speak Resort, Munyonyo. Now, that three-day event is being held in memory of the late General Aronda Nyakairima, the former and longest-serving Chief of Defense Forces, who died on 12 September 2015. Now, day two of the first Kampala Defense and Security Expo was attended mostly by high-ranking military officers from Egypt, Kenya, China, Russia, France, Democratic Republic of Congo, then there was South Sudan, Rwanda, among the other countries there. Now, in his presentation on the impact of the impact of the world on Africa's security posture, the Chief of Defense Forces, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, began by highlighting how Africa suffered because of the significant influence European powers held over other countries. Now, the CDF stressed the significance of African countries uniting. Now, in a panel discussion on multipolarity, the former Inspector General of Police, General Kale Kayihura, also expressed similar views as the Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs, Jacob Oboth, while speaking to the reporters on the sidelines of this Securities Expo, said Uganda is gradually positioning itself as a military superpower on the global stage. Now, Africa is the only region without a permanent seat, despite representing 54 of the 193 members of the UN and 17% of the world's population. But it's still marred in conflicts that makes it hard to have a say on global affairs. Now, elsewhere, Chisoro district leaders held a special council sitting to honor the late Sarah Mateke, woman member of parliament and Minister of State for Defense and Veteran Affairs, who passed away on Saturday morning shortly after being admitted to Mengo Hospital in Kampala. Her remains were airlifted by a UPDF plane landing at the Chisoro airstrip in Nyakabande sub-county before being transported to her home for the council meeting. The Chisoro District Council endorsed Ruth Nyiraneza Mateke, Sarah Mateke's younger sister, as her successor. Then John Kamara Niezimana, Member of Parliament for Bufumbira South County, presented Ruth as the family's proposed successor, aiming to prevent confusion similar to the Buchimbiri by-election. Now, Eddie Kwizera Wagahungu, Member of Parliament for Buchimbiri counties, supported this choice and urged potential candidates to wait until 2026 general elections to avoid resource wastage. Now, local leaders, including Rubanda District LC5 Chairman Stephen Ampeire Kashiaba and Kabale District LC5 Chairman Nelson Nshagabasheija, supported the decision, believing in a family member who would convert the electorate. Ramadhan Ndikuyenzi, the vice chairperson of the Chisoro District NRM party, highlighted that only a family member could complete Sarah Mateke's ongoing projects. Additionally, the council approved the motion by Chisoro District LC5 Chairman Abel Bizimana to name a new playground at Shaja Ground, the Sarah Mateke Stadium, in her honor. Now, back to the central region, because the government has reaffirmed its commitment to strengthening collaboration with the Buganda Kingdom to support initiatives. Okay. With the central to support the local initiatives and promoting cultural values. Now, this particular one was announced during a meeting between Buganda Kingdom officials and the Minister for Gender, Labour and Social Development, Betty Amongi, during her courtesy visit to the Katikiro at Bulange Mengo. Now, the Minister for Gender, Labour and Social Development, Betty Amongi, visited Buganda's Katikiro, Charles Peter Maiga, to discuss various matters concerning the kingdom and the central government. Katikiro, Peter Maiga emphasized the importance of collaborating with the Ministry of Gender to preserve culture and implement socio-economic programs for the benefit of both Buganda and Uganda. Maiga also stressed that the respect for culture is key to a nation's development, urging everyone to honor cultural values and norms. On the other side, the Minister, Betty Amongi, commended the Katikiro for his efforts to promote activities aimed at improving livelihoods and pledged the government's support for kingdom projects. She added that as the ministry is responsible for culture institutions, her visit to Bulange also aimed to strengthen cooperation with the kingdom, noting that Buganda plays a central role in preserving Uganda's cultural identity. Amongi was accompanied by the State Minister for Kampala, Kabuyecho Fatogabye, and the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Gender, Agre Chibenge, among others. Now, lastly, from the local scene, the National Environment Management Authority has commenced the second phase of its restoration exercise in the Greater Kampala area, focusing primarily on the Luigi section. The operation began in Kawala along the northern bypass, where several flower nursery beds were dismantled. After a 2-month pause, NEMA has resumed its phased restoration effort in the area with a particular focus on Luigi, and the recent phase, which began in Kawala along the northern bypass, caused significant losses for nursery bed operators as their operations were dismantled during the exercise. Now, some nursery bed operators claim that they were unable to relocate in time due to a lack of prior restoration orders before the eviction. The second phase of the restoration follows a meeting between NEMA and relevant stakeholders that was held on September 10th in Luigi, which reviewed the progress of the first phase of the restoration. This operation had been temporarily paused to allow individuals in areas with existing restoration orders to relocate without disruption. Now, NEMA Senior Public Relations Officer Williams Lugurwa revealed that the restoration effort is continuing with the goal of rehabilitating degraded wetlands and conserving the environment. He appealed to all those still occupying gazetted wetlands to cooperate with the restoration teams and avoid unnecessary conflicts.
Well, that does it for local news. Now, let's look at international news, where in the hours following Kamala Harris and Donald Trump's first and possibly last in-person face-to-face political comment, face-to-face off, that is their debate, political commentators and unofficial polls seemed to largely crown her the winner of the night. A CNN poll revealed that debate watchers declared Harris a winner by a comfortable 63-37 margin. A YouGov poll had Harris winning by 43-28 among registered voters. Even pundits at Fox News, the conservative TV network, agreed she bested Donald Trump. Now, Harris rattled Trump, baited him on the size of his rallies, and both she and the moderators pushed back and instantly fact-checked some of his most extravagant claims. While she did not offer much substance on some of the issues most pressing to voters, like immigration, she exuded a level of confidence critics previously said she lacked, and left the debate stage beaming as her opponent stewed. Then, to top the evening off, Taylor Swift endorsed Kamala Harris. It may all matter little. Official post-debate polls of undecided voters have not been released yet and will take several days, but it is not clear whether either candidate's performance will change many minds. Now, moving on to Israel's military war in Gaza. Israel's military bombed the UN-operated Al-Jawouni school in central Gaza, killing at least 18 people. Witnesses say women and children were blown to pieces in the assault. 6 of the victims were UNRWA staff, including the manager of the shelter. The agency said it was the highest death toll for its staff in a single incident in the 11-month war. Hamas told mediators it was ready to implement the U.S. proposed UN-backed truce proposal without any new conditions from any party. At least 41,084 people have been killed and 95,029 wounded in Israel's war on Gaza. In Israel, the number of those killed in the Hamas-led attacks on October 7th is at least 1,139, while more than 200 people were taken captive. And lastly, from our international news, looking at Kenya, hundreds of staff at Kenya's main airport have gone on strike over a planned buyout by India's Adani Group, grounding
Punishment
and teaching. Yes.
A punishment can mean I withhold back what I'm giving you. That is a punishment.
But
Yes.
then teaching.
But the teaching, I would tell you, I'll sit down with you and give you reason why I am withholding.
And why your actions
And
have repercussions.
Exactly. That is teaching. Yes? That is teaching. Which most of us have failed. Even the people who are bringing this to us have failed to differentiate. We need to know the teaching and the punishment. And so we need to learn how to teach our children. For example, there's so much happening on social media. I'm not going to say I'm the most perfect child. When I look at you, Olive, I see a child who was trained, who was taught.
How? How do you see that?
Now the psychologist will look at a person. Your
Yes.
eyes speak volumes. How you carry yourself speaks volumes. It is not that because you're in front of cameras. No. Even your composure speaks volumes. Even the way we very simple things. How you welcome somebody, how you speak to somebody, how you interact with your people or your friends speaks volumes of whether you were brought up or raised. So we need to go back to that. There was a time, let me just speak a little before. There's something that has been going on social media about the girls who are picked up from Lugogo and taken up, and there's a binge, and the men with HIV using them, and I'm on a group, and then people were commenting. I just look and I'm like, wow, all I did was back to family. And someone made a comment and said, no, it's not about family. It is about family. Family is where, even if, Olive, the world grabbed you. I was a teenager one time. I was at campus one time. I went wild, but there are some things that kept me
In line. So now, Miss Magom, let's talk about the medical camp.
Yes,
and I would like to see how it actually threads into the role of family. There is a free medical camp by Daughters of Zion,
Yes,
and you did mention that the reason why there is this camp, some of the key issues you want to highlight and even teach about is the HIV scourge in our community and how it is affecting families.
Yes.
So tell us more about that.
Thank you so much, Olive. Like you mentioned, I'm a pastor.
Yes.
By the grace of God, I carry a vision of Daughters of Zion, Isaiah 52, 1-3. And we are marking 4 years in ministry. And so to give back, we decided that this year, as we mark 4 years in ministry, is to give back to community. And we came in touch with partners. And so we decided to be within town, CDB. It might be not CDB per se, but within this side of town. We are going to be at George Court's Huntington Road. And that is where Prudential offices are. They are partnering with us. And so we wanted to give back and also to bring awareness. Olive, we have forgotten about HIV. there was a time when we spoke about HIV. And have you noticed there is a trend now that we've gotten so used that people now talk about HIV towards December 1st, when we are celebrating the World AIDS Day. But we have not yet gone into the depth of what is happening. And right now what we have, Olive, not to stigmatize, but we are having children born with HIV, or we have children who are born with HIV. And if not counseled, they carry that anger and bitterness and say, I did not bring it upon myself, I also received it. And that is how they are going out to do whatever they want to do, and they don't care. And so we are saying, no, during this camp, we are counseling. We are doing HIV testing, which in most cases we've not been doing. We've been shying away from it.
And yet testing is the beginning of knowing,
yes, ma'am,
where your life is, where you should go, how you should uphold it. Because I personally believe that the minute you check and they give you a negative result, you're going to try your best to guard it jealously. Unlike when you don't know, because there are also cases where people have not checked their HIV status, and because they have been living in carelessly,
yes, ma'am,
they think I must be positive.
Yes, and some of them think that it's death sentence. When you find out you're HIV positive, it's just now like cancer. Until you have cancer, you're like, I am dead. So we shall be having, besides that, counseling services. When you come, we want to do HIV awareness. We want to go on. So that is why we're having this, because when you look around, the research that has been done, it was in the papers, I think, 2 weeks ago, and they were telling us even the cities, and actually not 2 weeks ago, close to 2 months, they have been now talking and drumming about HIV and how it has gone up, and how, you know, there are areas that they mentioned, you know, of HIV going up. And it started off in the western, and then now, you know, in the northern places where we're saying city status, you're now seeing HIV going up. But we are not yet, we want to go back to awareness and tell you that, yes, HIV, you can be HIV positive. Take good care of it. There's the message that we kept on passing on before now.
Is the message that you're trying to pass on again?
We would want to pass on again.
Okay. And I think the conversation around HIV is very important because, like you mentioned, many people do not really take it seriously.
Yes,
and I think for some of the people that were raised in the 90s, they witnessed something that children of today have not. Unfortunately, children today are attending, because I saw a report indicating that house parties, pool parties, among others, are fueling the scourge and high infection rate of HIV. And also, the report says that HIV prevalence new infections are mostly among young women and older men.
Yes.
So when you're counseling, even those that have not come for tasting, let's look at young women here. What would you say to them, like right now, those that will come to the camp and those that are just watching? How do they safeguard themselves?
That is a nice one, and yet very wide. I'll go back to family. Safeguarding. When we're growing up, Olive, we had, we had aunties to talk to us, or we had parents who would sit down and talk to us and tell us, instill this in us. We're having children who think that if they do not have a phone, if they do not dress up in a certain way, then it is okay for them to, go out and have this young man, the social media things, go out, have this young guy who's going to give you 100,000 that you've not worked for. And you're saying, I don't care as long as he gives me money and as long as he gives me a good life. So you don't care anymore. But I think we would want to take them out to people who have suffered from HIV. Please bring me back or tell me that I'm wrong. But I have seen some people who have gone with HIV and they tell you it was cancer. So when we are looking at the cancer cases, it could also be HIV. But because we no longer want to tell people it is HIV, we are shy to say HIV, we say cancer.
So how do we combat the stigma around HIV? Because what the government and the Ministry of Health have been doing over the years is open conversations and tell people it's okay to have, like, if you find yourself positive, you don't have to think it's a death sentence. You don't have to think that you're a black sheep or an outcast. But it seems like these conversations have ended. So how do we open up the conversation again to end the stigma? Because if it weren't for stigma, no one would be saying, I have cancer instead of HIV.
And that is why we need conversations like this. We need platforms like this to keep on drumming and tell people HIV kills, especially our young. Like you gave an example, you said the research, or, you know, it is in younger children and
younger girls, younger women and older men. Yes.
And some of these younger girls were born with it. It is not that they acquired it. And because they never got any counseling or told not to do some things, they are saying it is okay, I was born with it, I did not get it, I did not sleep around, I did nothing, let me go also out and have fun and do whatever I want to do with these big men who are coming to me. And yet if we had them and counseled them and spoke to them, yes, we would try as much as possible to stop that. And even tell them that, yes, right now you might think, you know, you've had people who say, so-and-so died of a headache. I'll also, you know, they tell us to be careful. You know, the headache will take me. And then they'll say, another one died of a car accident. So it could be a car accident. You notice that that person mentally is not stable, is not well.
Now, let's look at one of the other chronic ailments that is taking, that has an upsurge right now. Uganda has a 6.3% prevalence of diabetes among adults. Is there a link between the family stress and lifestyle and the rise of lifestyle diseases?
Yes, ma'am.
Like diabetes?
Yes, ma'am. And that is one of the things we're going to do on that day at the camp. We are going to check for diabetes. So if anyone is coming for diabetes, please don't eat in the morning. Come and let's do the diabetes. Yes, Olive. Some of these chronic diseases like diabetes and pressure is caused, one of the causes is stress, unforgiveness, bitterness, that make the sugars in your body, you know, not balanced. I want you to look at people who are never happy, who never smile.
They end up with lifestyle diseases?
Yes, they do. According to research, they do.
Interesting.
Now, when you look at families right now, there are so many people stressed out on how to raise, or if they've raised their children well, their children end up, they're the ones in peppers, you know, skimpily dressed, look, you know, and then a parent says, what did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong? And so they begin having stress and they don't have anyone to speak to. They don't have anyone to counsel them. They don't have, then they, you know, it sits with them and it breaks them.
And then it creates a disease.
And it creates a disease.
Pastor, our time is fast spent, but as we close briefly, tell us about the other services and again where the medical camp is going to take place.
Yes, we are going to have counseling sessions. We're going to donate blood. We're going to do typhoid, malaria. We're going to also have our eyes checked. On that day, we're going to be at George Courts.
Which date is this?
That is on the 26th September.
One-day event.
One-day event from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Well, you heard it, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Go and access free medical care. But also our conversation has been on the medical camp, but also how lifestyle ailments that we are struggling with today as a country also threads and goes back to the family brokenness. But our time is fast spent. We can't go any further than this. Thank you so much for being a part of Good Morning Uganda. I've been speaking to Miss Aggie Magom, who is a communication specialist, but also a pastor carrying the vision of Daughters of Zion. Stick around.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
He expected me to die like within the first 2 years.
Out of the blue, the child will get pains, especially in the wrists. And this happens commonly when children are starting to walk.
Was brought to you by
can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21 hash and select daily or use the MyMTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Max Media Promotion presents Omukwano Chechi Concert. Taking place on the 27th of September 2024 at Tavern Woods, Kabusu. There will be exciting performances from Message Semakula, Jofre Lutaya, Winnie Nwaji, Kabuye Semboga, Queen Florence, and Olisha M. Entrance is only 20k ordinary, 50k VIP, and a table at 500,000. For bookings, call 0759 677 502 or 0785 310 388. Come ready to dance the night away from 7 p.m. till late. Sponsored by UBC, Success Motors, Kampala City Grammar, and KT South.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
A very good morning to all our viewers. My good name is Erin Alena Misango, and this is the GME Tourism Express, the time that we talk about everything that is about Uganda's tourism. Now, it is a beautiful Thursday morning. It is a little bit more calm, and I feel it is yet another day to talk more about Uganda's tourism, to make all our viewers understand what is really happening in the world of travel, tell you the trends, activities, and also dive a little bit more about different topics that could be of value or impactful to the tourism sector to help us grow. Remember, our major goal is to grow Uganda, to sell it, and to make it one of the prime destinations across the world. So if there is anything that we can ever do, is to let you every day of what you can do, where you can go, and tell you anything that you need to know about Uganda's tourism. Well, just in the travel news, on Tuesday this very week, the Ministry of Tourism launched the tourism month. Like I told you last time, that September is one of the busiest months that we have in the tourism sector in Uganda. The fact that we have the World Tourism Day celebrations in this very month. The World Tourism Day is a day that was set aside by UN to see that we celebrate tourism and all its impacts, and also create more awareness to the audiences so that people know the impacts that come with tourism or growing tourism. So on Tuesday at Fairway Hotel, our Minister of Tourism launched the World Tourism Day celebrations and all the activities that are going to happen in this very month. I listed them, and still, if you need to know, you want to know more activities that are going to happen in this month, you can still check out the pages of Minister of Tourism on X, on Instagram, on Facebook, to get all that calendar of the events that are happening. But it was a nice event. The theme is tourism and peace, to see how we can merge tourism and peace. And the celebrations are going to be held in Kasese, where different stakeholders in the tourism sector are going to travel to Kasese. This year Kasese has really a shine in the tourism sector, so many events are happening there. But yes, I feel it is the right time for Kasese to shine despite the things that have been happening there. Well, that is it that we had for you in the travel news, and now right now we get straight into the theme of the day, and that is sustainability of tourism events in Uganda. Now there is a trend that is really happening in the tourism sector, actually not just in the tourism sector, but for us the fact that events are also part of MICE, that is meetings, incentives, conferences and events. So all events, we need to see that how do we align them to tourism so that we attract both international and local tourists. But as so many events are coming up, some of them don't even see their third birthday. So we need to understand the sustainability of people that are coming up with such events. How are they planning to make sure that these events are sustainable? And with me in the studios, I'm with a queen, a beauty queen, Miss Revolve Uganda, and she goes by the names of Miss Nakakande Mariam Bowembo. She's Miss Revolve Uganda, and she's still one of the organizers of the International Summer Fest, Okumanyagana, that happens in Jinja. This is the second edition that is going to happen this year, and we need to understand more about the sustainability of tourism events in Uganda. Miss Mariam, how are you this morning?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you feeling being here?
It is a bit cold, but yeah, I'm good.
Okay, just to go straight into our theme today. You're organizing Kumanyagana. We are using that event just to be as a study case.
Yeah.
And we need to know, how are you aligning this event to tourism?
First and foremost, I would love to thank everyone who is watching out there. Thank you so much for watching UBC, and thank you so much for hosting me. Personally, I'm hosting the International Summer Fest to Manyagane. Yeah, most people look at events in a different way, but my event is Summerfest, and someone is going to ask me, why did you call it International Summerfest? Are you taking us to Mombasa? Are you taking us to UK? Well, we are here in Uganda, and we are organizing trips or events here in Uganda because we want to let you know the good things, the tourist attractions that you literally don't know about, but we bring them to you, like on cheaper prices, like affordable prices. You don't have to like go on sites. I personally bring it to you. Yeah. So how do the two now come up together, International Summer Fest and Tumanyagane? Is Tumanyagane just the local name for us? And then how merge the two? International. It is something, of course, that is international. Yes. Summerfest, it is summer. Tumanyagane is getting to know each other. Yes. So, Tumanyagana in the summer. Yes. According to any theme that we put, at the end of the day, we are getting to know each other. Yes.
Okay, now, when you talk about the International Summer Fest,
yes,
and it happens in Jinja, that I very well know. There are so many events that are really happening in Jinja, tourism events that are happening in Jinja.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether, because it is close, but we have Nyege Nyege, we have Vumbula, we have Tuchigale, Jinja, like so many events are happening.
Yeah.
Why particularly are you guys choosing on Jinja, despite the fact that Uganda has so many other beautiful destinations? And secondly, what is unique that the International Summer Fest could bring on board that other events have not been bringing? Imagine me, who has been to Jinja, and I've done all the activities. I've done bungee jumping, I've done tubing, I've done whitewater rafting, visiting the source of the Nile. I've been there at Nyege Nyege, and why would I go back particularly for this event? And
personally, I've also been to those events, but there's something different about Jinja that our people literally don't know. There are a lot of sites, tourism sites, that people don't give attention. They don't know the beauty that is in Jinja. My first edition of the International Summer Fest was still in Jinja at Nile Nest. I chose it again because my fans, the people that we are giving back to, really liked the experience. The first edition had the fish festival that made them love the show, because kuria fish today we eat fish, tomorrow we eat fish, even on the last day we eat fish. And this time around we are having the chicken and meat festival on that very day. Yeah, Mungoma. We chose that because most people don't know what is really, they have not tested the different types of meat. Baliachimu, maybe they just cook it, but people are going to bring out the art of the meat, the art of the chicken. So I think that is literally new and beautiful. You would love to do that, like wake up, eat the meat, go, people will start entertaining you using the ngoma during the day, and in the night, that is when people will have their music and stuff.
What are some of those unique features that you are saying that people don't know in Jinja? You feel like they're giving less attention, and you feel like this festival or fest is going to put more shine on them?
Most people, or most events, love going to Busoko Falls. They love these other games, but they've not given attention to the farming or the market there. But we have our ginger market experience on the second day of the event. And most people that bring events to Jinja have not done the market experience before. And I think you won't miss. Yeah.
Okay, now we need to understand how sustainable is this, because when you look at the order of the day in tourism right now is sustainability, ecotourism. How are you, which measures are you putting in place to see that this event, or even events, okay, you can even advise other organizers, what measures can they put in place to see that their events are sustainable and they have that bit of ecotourism?
Let's say, when we look in the economy of Uganda, our people in the East don't really have, would I say, that too much money. And when you put up an event, and it's not overpriced or overcharged, it is going to let everyone, it's going to allow everyone to come and attend the show. And it is not just attending for fun. You are attending to learn something, one or two or the other. Because on that on events like that, we have different tutors that are going to teach people how to do different things, mostly the crafts. Because I personally am a person who loves crafts. I do crafts, and people around me know when it comes to crafts, that is my thing. So it is going to teach them a lot. It is not just touring, it's not just having fun or taking pictures or making new friends, but you learn something. And I would advise my fellow trip organizers to at least try like 20% to do something educational that is going to stay into someone's mind. Don't just live the fun, live something that someone is going to have for the rest of their lives.
One last one for you. Generally, how do you think such tourism events create a positive image of Uganda?
Personally, I love touring. I love traveling. And I think I'll take an example of myself. I think when I move, I get the therapy. Yeah, as a person.
So how are events creating this positive image of the country?
Events let people know about what they don't know. I'm very sure of that. Because if I organize an event somewhere, you literally don't know. You don't know what is going to happen, but you just trust me with your money. And you'd be like, yeah, let me go. You see things for the very first time. Yeah.
Okay, that is nice. Unfortunately, the time is done, and that was a little bit brief of what we could talk about events. But when you see we've so much been talking about tourism events in the country, to see that how are we, because when you look at them, the agenda for Uganda Tourism Board this year and Ministry of Tourism, they are so much looking at promoting MICE tourism in the country. And events are one of the things that we should actually not ignore when it gets to promoting tourism in the country. Because first, they attract big numbers. Just simple events that are happening here in Kampala, you can see that they attract big numbers. So if you are able to have big events that even bring in international tourists, international people into the country, that is a plus to the country because it creates a big economic impact, but also a big impact to the country. So if there is anything that we can do about events, if there is any support that Ministry of Tourism, Uganda Tourism Board, or any other private sector can come in to support such events, please let us do, to see that we are together promoting Uganda's tourism. Well, today it was another case in study, that is Kumanyagana in Jinja, an event that is coming up, and it is the second edition. But we are still going to bring in different people too, so that we get different views and perceptions from all these people that are organizing events. What do they have at the back of their minds? What are they thinking? What are they visualizing in terms of events, to see that we are together promoting Uganda's tourism? Well, that is it that we had for you. My name is Irene Alena Misango, and Jerome Paul is already here to take you through the business updates.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Max Media Promotion presents Omukwano Chechi Concert, taking place on the 27th of September 2024 at Tavern Woods, Kabusu. There will be exciting performances from Message Semakula, Jofre Lutaya, Winnie Luigi, Kabuya Semboga, Queen Florence, and Olisha M. Entrance is only 20k ordinary, 50k VIP, and a table at 500,000. For bookings, call 0759 677 502 or 0785 310 388. Come ready to dance the night away from 7 p.m. till late. Sponsored by UBC, Success Motors, Kampala City Grammar, and KT Sounds.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Thank you very much for sticking around to Good Morning Uganda. I am Jerome Paul Sonko. Let's get into the world of business. Now, starting off with the budget conference, because yesterday the Prime Minister, Robina Nabbanja, officiated a multi-stakeholder conference on the implementation of the 2025-2026 financial year, which will be kicking off 1st July 2025. Now, the annual conference was aiming to guide the budget process for the upcoming financial year and the medium term. This national budget financial year strategy for 2025-2026 convened under the theme Full Monetization of Uganda's Economy through Commercial Agriculture, Industrialization, Expanding and Broadening Services, Digital Transformation and Market Access. Now also, this will be the first budget to be implemented under the National Development Plan 4, because this current budget that we are driving, that is the 2024-2025 budget, is under the National Development Plan 3. Now, starting next year, we shall be looking at the National Development Plan 4, with the Prime Minister Robina Nabbanja revealing that we are on the brink of a significant change as a country and the economy at large. The careful planning and prudent decision-making that is being undertaken will determine the success of Uganda's development plan in the coming year. This is also according to the leader of government business. Now, Honorable Mateke, who is the Minister for Finance, Planning and Economic Development, revealed that all eyes are on how these resources will be managed to drive progress and meet the needs of Uganda's population. And then Godfrey Kabyanga, the Minister of State for ICT and National Guidance, revealed that there is need to ensure that that conference makes a meaningful impact, not only during the sitting, but also in the long run. But David Musinguzi, who is the Commissioner General URA, says that as the government convenes, the multi-stakeholder conference is crucial because it's going to deliver actionable outcomes. Besides that, Tuhaire, who is a district chairman in Sinjiro, revealed that Uganda aims to elevate its economic growth at an average of about 8% per annum. Now, the goal is also to double the size of the economy every 5 years over the next 15 years and increase the per capita US dollar sixfold of the GDP from the current 1,146 to about 7,000 by 2040. Well, how realistic will that be? More details of the same. Now, we're currently running under a budget of 72 trillion Ugandan shillings, by the way, for the financial year 2024-2025. Now, away from that, our next two business reports this morning are taking us to the education system or to the education sector of Uganda, because there's a new education policy which has seen the stakeholders of the education sector propose a cost-sharing model. Now, this cost-sharing model is mainly heading out to primary and secondary schools, where the stakeholders are proposing that parents should contribute 50% of school fees, with the government covering the remaining 50%. Now, they claim that the universal free education system has led to parental irresponsibility, with parents really, revealing off their roles to the government, or giving their role of parenting to the government and responsibility to government. And regarding early retirement among the teachers, the primary school educators are also reportedly leaving the profession prematurely, citing low pay that is disproportionate to their workload, according to more of the findings and the revelations. Now, in secondary schools, there is an element of salary disparities, which have driven science teachers to private institutions where their expertise is more valued. And this is why most of the stakeholders believe that the best to do now is for parents to also contribute 50% of the school fees, as the government also reveals 50%. That is just a proposal by some of the stakeholders. Now, there are mixed opinions on the use of mobile phones as well from the stakeholders in schools for research, with some of the stakeholders also arguing that the potential drawbacks outweigh the benefits, while others advocate for the new education policy to incorporate strong regulations to prevent the misuse of smartphones by the students once they are in the hands of the students. Now, for the caregivers in pre-primary schools, stakeholders are calling for their inclusion in the government payroll, noting that this essential group has been overlooked despite being the foundation to the education system. Speaking of which, the daycare and kindergarten or nursery schools. Now, lastly, we turn our focus on the students' loan scheme, because yesterday a number of 1,838 loan beneficiaries were released by the Higher Education Students Financing Board, which published the successful applicants. Now, the numbers that were revealed is that out of 6,661 applications, only 1,838 students have been awarded these loans. Now, this is representing a significant increase in the number of applications over the years, with many beneficiaries still in the repayment phase. The board highlights the importance of diligence and timely repayment in order to smoothen the transition of new students into the system as well. Now, the Minister of State for Higher Education, Dr. John Chrysostom Muyingo, congratulated the beneficiaries, emphasizing the loan scheme is a privilege, not a right. He also encouraged students to seize the opportunity to further their education. That is after they are done with the first stake of qualifications. But the student loan, when you look at why it was designed, it was to make higher education more affordable and accessible for the students. And also the board remains committed to supporting Ugandan students in achieving their academic goals and to also succeed after school. Well, we now sum up business this morning by looking at the forex market to see how different currencies are faring on the exchange. This is courtesy of the central bank. As of yesterday opening time, the US dollar was buying at 3,710.27 shillings while selling at 3,720.27. Midday, the US dollar was buying at 3,710.14 while selling at 3,720.14. 0.14. Closing time, the US dollar was buying at 3,712.77 shillings, while selling at 3,722.77. The Great Britain pound was buying at 4,862.99, while selling at 4,876.08. The euro was buying at 4,100.75, while selling at 4,111.80. The Kenyan shilling was buying at 28.78, while selling at 28.86. The Tanzanian shilling was buying at 1.36, while selling at 1.37. The South African rand was buying at 207.42 shillings and selling at 207.98 shillings. And now, as we're summing up with the business updates this morning, please do note that on Saturdays we do have a show on UBC that runs from 8:30 p.m. to 9. That is the business roundup, looking at a recap of all the trending business reports of the week. Do make a deal with us. And I'll be back on Monday with the latest from the world of business. But as of now, Good Morning Uganda continues.
Well, it's traffic updates. I'm Olive Monica Najuma. Now let's see how you can get through different roads to come to the city. Now I am at the Northern Bypass roundabout that brings you from Kawempe and Waise, and also areas of Wosega, bringing you into Bombo Road. Let's see how you can get to town. Now, what I see is that there is a bit of traffic jam just at the roundabout, but there is smooth flow of traffic as you head along and continue with Bombo Road. We are still experiencing smooth flow of traffic along Bombo Road, but then we normally have traffic jam coming in through at this roundabout that connects Binaisa Road, Gayaza, Bombo Road, and then takes you further to Dwalilo Road. From what I see, today some roads look pretty clean. There is smooth flow of traffic along this section. Won't be going any further. Maybe I'll share a traffic tip or two, and that is for people who live in areas where their roads are Maram roads. I've noticed something, that in the morning people drive very fast, but then sometimes their headlights are extremely dim, which makes it really hard for the oncoming traffic to notice you. Now, to avoid accidents like head-on collisions, you might consider at least putting your headlights on so that you alert the person coming from the opposite direction that there is a car coming over there, because normally there is dust and dust affects visibility. So you should keep this in mind. Now also when it's raining, because we are starting to receive some rains, you need to ensure that your wipers are working so that you can have visibility when you are driving during rainy weather. And with that, we end our traffic updates. Stick around.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
He expected me to die like within the first 2 years.
Out of the blue, the child will get pains, especially in the wrists. And this happens commonly when children are starting to walk.
Was brought to you by
can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000 or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21 hash and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Max Media Promotion presents Omukwano Chechi Concert. Taking place on the 27th of September 2024 at Tavern Woods, Kabusu. There will be exciting performances from Message Semakula, Jofre Lutaya, Winnie Luigi, Kabuya Semboga, Queen Florence, and Olisha M. Entrance is only 20k ordinary, 50k VIP, and a table at 500,000. For bookings, call 0759 677 502 or 0785 310 388. Come ready to dance the night away from 7 p.m. till late. Sponsored by UBC, Success Motors, Kampala City Grammar, and KT Sounds.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Maskari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you Tuko Pamoja Kigezi segment. Learn about the heroic story of Queen Muhumuza, Chief Katureje, Makobore, and all the gallant men and women who resisted colonialism in the Pearl of Uganda, Kigezi.
Kigezi as such.
We are different to do things. Wachiga.
Sabatwa.
Wafumbira.
And there was no king as such. In some of these other places, they say every Mchiga is a king in their home.
They have always been Republicans.
Premiering in Kabale Town on Saturday, 14th September 2024 at White Horse Inn, and in Rukunjiri at Rukunjiri Inn on Sunday, 15th September 2024. Gates open at 4:30 p.m. To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tickets go. Tuko pamoja?
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Thank you for sticking with us. Now it's time for our agenda, 4 minutes past 8 a.m. My name is Olive Monica Najuma, and you're doing a great thing starting your day with Good Morning Uganda. Now, the construction business in Uganda has taken quite a big shape. And according to the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, 7% approximately 7% of the country's GDP in 2022, and its growth is projected to continue as Uganda thrives and becomes a middle-income country. But they are saying that that 7% comes from the construction sector. I'm sure where you stay in your environments, you've seen lots of construction going on, but also lots of interesting new designs coming up, be it in the city with the construction of what you'd call skyscrapers for Uganda, but also in the suburbs, we are seeing a lot of growth. And now when we look at the business part of things, we also see there is a lot of growth in the business as far as construction is concerned. So with that, the Uganda Association, with that, the Uganda Society of Architects will be holding a symposium for people in the construction business, and today we are here to understand the dynamics in the construction business in Uganda, and I'll be having this conversation with Miss Catherine Muyinda, who is the Honorary Secretary, Uganda Society of Architects. We'll go deeper and get to understand the dynamics of construction in the country. You're welcome to Good Morning Uganda.
Thank you, Olive. How are you?
I am fine. How are you?
Yes, I'm very fine.
All right.
Yes.
And you did say that you're also a registered architect.
Absolutely.
So I'm speaking to a lady that has broken through the glass ceiling.
Absolutely.
I'm saying that because back in the day, there weren't so many women in industries like this or sectors like this.
Yes.
So I commend you.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Thank you.
But now I would like for us to get into the meat of the matter, the symposium taking place. But also, before we get there, I would like to have an understanding of the Uganda Society of Architects and its mandate.
Thank you. The Uganda Society of Architects is an umbrella association that unites all architects, registered architects in Uganda. It started in 1966, so we've been here for quite a while. And every member who belongs to the body of architects, whether you are a graduate member, corporate member, student member, technician member, an affiliate, and you belong in the construction industry, you belong to the Uganda Society of Architects. Most of what our mandate really is to lobby for the society's goals, to be known to the public, to be understood, to understand our services as architects. Yes.
All right. Now that we have an understanding of what the society stands for and its mandate, Ms. Catherine, I would like to know what inspired the theme, the business of construction in Uganda, for this year's symposium.
Olivia, like we discussed before, we've had the symposium is an annual event. It takes place every year in the society. And we really look at pertinent issues that affect the construction industry. In COVID, we had the symposium that discussed climate change because COVID was as a result of the climate changes.
Yes.
This year, we felt that we needed to discuss issues regarding compliance, sustainability, project financing, innovation in the construction industry. So we've seen quite a number of things coming up. So we felt as key players in the built environment, will not just keep quiet and allow certain things to go unnoticed. Because you know, when you want to put up a building, you need money. You need to finance a project.
Yes.
We've seen projects that have stalled. And the architect is a key player in helping to advise the client in a project. Because you can see that a project is not going to be completed, so you tell your client, do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you manage the finances. Of course, the construction team includes a number of professionals, but the thing is the architect is the key in this. So project financing is something you cannot ignore when you are looking at, for example, in construction. Then when you talk about sustainability, we've had things to do with energy conservation, sustainable building materials, those things. So we'll be discussing those in detail. You need to come and understand which buildings are really good if you talk about sustainable building materials, because when you look at our weather, you can't have buildings here, sorry, our materials here different, for example, from when talking about Dubai because of our weather. Now, when you come to innovative construction technologies, we have seen a lot of things on social media that have been sent out there. But now, as professionals, we need to pronounce ourselves and say, there are new technologies that have come up, these are good, and this is what we can support.
Is that what you say is the role of sustainability plays in the construction sector?
Sustainability is an aspect of the construction. It discusses, sustainability discusses a number of things. You're talking about less use of water, energy conservation, you're talking of sustainable building materials. These are all very broad topics which you can't just discuss, for example, like here. So we sit in a room and we share ideas. We have panelists, we have people who come and tell us, experts in the field who come and say, this is it, this is it, this is it, this is it, this is it. And so when you attend, you add on to your knowledge as a player in the construction industry. So the symposium gathers a number of people. We don't only have architects, we have people that are in the construction industry. We have engineers, we have surveyors, we have lawyers, we have contractors. So all those are key players. We have the urban planners, you know. All these are key players in the construction industry. So it's an open event. Of course, it's being paid for, but the knowledge that is being shared is not only for us as architects. We want to say, this is it for us in the built environment. We need to discuss these things and find a common ground for them.
Okay, before we go any further,
yes.
I've had Ugandans, especially those that are doing some construction here and there, and in most cases you're going to hear them talking about people like engineers. They will talk about, we all know who a plumber is, so that goes without saying, but I would like to understand, when I'm running a construction project of whatever nature, what's the role of an architect?
The architect is the head of the team. The architect is the creator of the project. You receive the empty site and then create the building. You draw up the plan.
So it's you that comes up with the blueprint?
Absolutely. The conceptual drawings and the drawings, what we call architectural drawings. The engineers, the structural, civil, mechanical, electrical, use the architect's drawings to develop their drawings, because the architect has thought of the room designs, the spaces, the number of things that are needed according to what we call a brief that was shared by the client. I need this, I need this, I need my kitchen here, I need this. So you get all that information and then put it on paper. Translate what the mind of your client wants onto paper. So the drawing is shared for the input of the engineer. Without the architect's drawing, it is difficult for the engineers to have an input. It's difficult for the quantity surveyor to cost the project. So that is why an architect is called the head of the project, because they initiate the process of drawing, which enables the team to have an input in order for you to have a complete set of project work. Of course, the team should also include a surveyor who gives the land surveyor, who gives the initial feel of the dimensions, the contours, but the gist of the actual construction starts with the architect.
Okay.
Yes.
Now we have gotten some learning, because there, I think probably those are not key building construction sites where all you hear is engineer.
Yes,
So one would wonder, where does the architect come in? But now we have a good understanding of the same. So you can join the conversation, and if you have any questions for Miss Catherine Muyinda here, you can reach us through WhatsApp number 0709 602 592. If you want to know how you can access the venue, how much you'll be paying, she'll be sharing with us, but also you can still send in your questions and queries, and I'll share them with her. Please leave your name and number and the place where you're texting from, and by all means, please don't call. You can also send a direct message on the same number that is on your screen. It's also the number I've shared, which is 0709 602 592. Now, Miss Catherine, you have the main theme, which is the business of construction in Uganda. But also there are some sub-themes which include construction technologies, I beg your pardon. There are some sub-themes which are project financing, compliance, sustainability, and innovative construction technologies. I would like for you to elaborate. Please help us elaborate on these themes and why they were chosen.
Firstly, I would like to make a bit of correction.
Okay.
An architect has a prefix arch. So when you talking about an architect, you call them architect, Catherine. Like you see a doctor, so and so, engineer, so and so. So I know, because the public has largely not been aware of some of these things, we are now being open to come to people to explain these things.
So when the way I would address someone as Dr. So-and-so, now
Absolutely.
I can say
architect
Catherine
Muyinda.
Muyinda.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. So I just needed to let that pass, because
Yes.
I know this show is being viewed by the people in the fraternity.
Yes.
It will be something that comes up. So yeah. So for the general public, when you're addressing an architect, it is architects.
It's important, because
Yeah.
even me, I don't know, would they say journalist only? But it's important
But
to
the
note
lawyers
that
have counsel, the engineers have engineer.
I am actually curious, what do they call us? But that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'd like for us to go back to the sub-themes that were chosen. Why were they chosen?
Well, these are critical things that affect the projects. When I was opening up, I talked about project financing.
Yes.
We have seen a number of projects stall because there was not, there were some things that were not done in the background to ensure that the monies that were planned for are enough. Now, if I go into just the small detail of project financing, when drawings are done, all the drawings, architectural, structural, civil, mechanical, electrical, the quantity surveyor is supposed to get the project, cost it. See, to give the mind of the client, this is how much you're going to need for the project. See, but many a times with what we have seen, people get the plan from the architect, run to the engineer in quotes, we call them engineer, not engineer,
yes,
on site.
On site.
The guy who has learned how to, you know, they look at the mix, they look at the plan and say, boss, this one is going to cost this amount of money. Yeah, and most of them, when you talk to them, they tell you, we don't want to scare off our clients, so we first quote low. So you're already in the heat of the construction, you must look for that money to finish the project, so they keep adding. Whereas here, when you have done your background, you've done the drawings, you've done the costing, you're prepared, so that your project does not stall. Because you see some projects, you get help from, for example, a financial institution that is going to come looking for their money because you're not able to pay, your project is not complete, you're not able to refund, you know, pay up the loan. So you see, so project financing and how to understand the dynamics of, for example, that one aspect is key. You need to know, what do I look out for? When you are doing the cost of the project, you're even able to scale down. By scaling down, I mean if the project is maybe 12 stories, 12 levels. You say maybe this we can't afford, we can afford 8. That is done when you're in the places of of studying how much money do we need, where are we going to get, who's the best person, loan person, or where the credit facilities that we can go for. And of course, accessing financing needs you to have had these drawings approved, you see. So we are disseminating knowledge because we've seen that people lack that understanding. You get to a project and someone says, I want to get a loan from the bank, but they're not willing to give you the time to give you all this. And you're explaining to them and saying, you need all this information, you need to pay for this. When it comes to sustainability, I've already talked about it.
Yes.
Let's go into compliance. We have bodies that are now in charge of running the societies. For example, the architects have the Architects Registration Board.
Okay.
The engineers have the Engineers Registration Board. The surveyors have the Surveyors Registration Board. Those are all arms of government that regulate the practice of the professionals in there. So you find that a registered architect is registered as well with the Architects Registration Board,
yes,
who ensures that their member is compliant. Yeah, but also there's compliance in the building industry, building sector. We've had people, you know, you come up with, we've had people building in wetlands, we've had people doing constructions in hills, we've had things of landslides, you see. You try to advise someone, say you're going to build in a wetland, but do you understand the repercussions? You see, eh? Or compliance generally, when you're going to build, are you going to build in a road reserve? How much offset do you need? You need some green. You need parking. You know, we fight a lot with clients to tell them you need some green on your compound. You need to make sure your water is properly drained. How are you going to direct your water off the site, what we call stormwater drainage management off the site? They say, no, we'll put it in the road. The neighbors will see.
And then you affect further infrastructure.
Absolutely. So they get into battles and the neighbors' wall sometimes is collapsing if they're on the lower side. You see, so the
I've
architect,
even seen footage of a house that collapsed during a rainstorm and ended up hitting the behind part of a neighbor's house plus their fence.
Yes. So things to do with compliance, the architect actually oversees most of those things because we are taught to understand the gist of construction. When you're going to submit a plan for approval for any district, you know the planning regulations for that particular area. So you make sure that the plan that you've developed is compliant with the rules of that area, because different areas across the country have different planning regulations. If we go into, for example, Kampala, you can't build a certain way in Kololo. You can't build a certain way in Nakasero. They are planning regulations, so the buildings must be compliant. That knowledge exists with the client, with the architect, who usually interfaces with the authorities to ensure that your plan is approved.
Now, architect, Catherine, according to the National Building Review Board, it said that there is a report which says that 88% of buildings do not comply with provisions in the Building Act of 2013. This is a 2022 report. Now, if we are looking at 88% of buildings not being compliant, and yet you said the plans and everything that is done in construction has to be backed by an architect. Is it, should we say that most of the clients who come up with these buildings or constructions do not use the help of architects to start the work?
Very good question. I would like to say yes. We know we have quacks, what we'd call quack architects. The architect has largely been not known. Like you opened up, you said, we know the engineers, we don't know the architects. So because we have people who have presented themselves as quacks, who are doing drawings on behalf of the architect, a lot gets passed under the table. So the compliance part mostly comes in with the developer, who is not well advised at the start that, you know, you have a building here and this is what you're going to look out for. It would be nice for you to have this building done like this and this. That's what the architect advises. But now when you get a person who is not qualified, who has not been taught, and they only have learned on the job to do certain drawings, they will not give you this
Mistakes
knowledge.
are going to happen.
Yes.
And unfortunately, these mistakes sometimes cost lives when these
Absolutely.
buildings collapse.
Yes.
But now going back to the sub-themes,
Mhm.
you had touched on, you talked about financing, compliance, sustainability,
Yes.
but also there is innovative construction technologies.
Mhm.
Yes. Tell us more about that.
Well, we have seen quite a number of innovations come up, interesting innovations in the what we'd call the built environment. Innovations in materials. Actually, the symposium also has manufacturers of materials. I want to touch about one aspect. We've all seen houses where you have a paint and the paint is chipping off. It is damp.
That makes up for most of the
You see,
houses
yeah,
in
you
the
can
suburbs.
relate.
Yes.
So a lot of innovation has been done around that. So the architect, if you have an architect on board and you want them, for example, what we call remodeling works, they will come in and they know that this can be addressed this way. You know, you come in and ask, how did you build? Because sometimes it comes from the way the house was built. Yeah, so you want to come and rectify a problem and see how to help the client. But there are products that have come up that can address dampness, because see, our weather, we experience rainfall throughout the year. Yeah, so you have knowledge, for example, in that aspect. I've just talked about one of those aspects that really disturbs us.
Yes.
If you go to buildings that leak, flat roofs, you've seen a lot of modern technology around flat roofs.
And then the flat roofs normally get cracks at some point in the ceiling.
Yes.
Yes.
That comes as a result of workmanship, but also a flat roof because of weather. If you put it up, you're going to have to pay up a lot of maintenance costs. It is a very expensive roof. It looks beautiful, but it's very expensive to maintain because of our weather. Now, a flat roof will work in areas like Dubai. They don't have a lot of rain.
That explains why you've seen the old structures by the Indian community in Uganda. They all had flat roofs because that is what they do back home because of their weather.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
The way our history of a style of architecture has evolved came also with the influx of people that we got plus colonialism. So we initially had our own styles of architecture, which are also being reinvented, rethought about. Yeah, we have having a lot of research around the use of the materials, the local materials that we have, and going back into the aspects of the traditional architectural styles that we had here. And there's innovation in that space. A lot of things going on, good products that we've seen, which will be showcased. But when they came with the types of buildings that belong to them. For example, when you look around Kololo, most of Kololo, and you look at the UK in Britain, you will see the language of the buildings belongs that side. When you see the flat roofs and you go and see Asian and Dubai, that side of the world, you'll see that language translated into the Kamocha area, old Kamocha roots.
That's right, yes.
Yeah, so because Kamocha was majorly owned, those were the ones staying. The upper areas had the British, then the Kamocha areas had the Indians, and the Africans were off the peripheral. So the architectural styles at that time
you speak the language of whoever occupied that area.
That space.
I've witnessed this in Jinja City.
Yes, most of the colonial cities have architectural languages of the colonial era.
Okay.
Yes, but now the new innovations are beginning to say, look here, these particular buildings we have seen, they've had these effects. We have this here. So we have had innovations in the use of material, for example. Clay here is a great material that we have.
Yes.
And we have had a children's hospital. I can mention one project by Renzo Piano. It's in Entebbe. A very good project. They applied the use of clay bricks in a very innovative way. And when you look at it, it speaks the themes of us. You know, us, we love warm colors, earthy things.
We are bright people.
Thank you.
We are colorful.
Absolutely. Whereas when you go at the other side of the world, you find sleek things. You find the whites, because you see it's a desert, they're used to flatscapes, landscapes. here we are used to brilliant things. We have brilliant colors. When you're designing for us, you definitely must introduce a lot of color. Yes.
Ah, okay. Ah, interesting. Now, you, I wanted to go to the next question, but before that, you did mention a project in Entebbe that have used clay bricks.
Yes.
Now, speaking about clay bricks, growing up, I used to hear the adults say they were very strong, that the building made of them, with them could stand the test of time.
Absolutely.
And today I see many places embracing that. But also the other thing, when you, some people claim that some of the quality of the clay bricks, it leaves a lot to be desired.
Well, still, when we talk of innovative designs, okay, let's go to sustainability because that speaks of materials.
Yes.
The sustainable materials where the clay falls under. The clay, we've had challenges with workmanship. But also on the positive side, we have guys who are doing a great work in innovations of how to properly prepare a clay brick to be used for construction. Because when you look at an assessment of the older buildings, even with the concrete, if you try to knock down an older building, you need a bulldozer because they were very particular with the mixes of what they used. They had stronger, what I would call stronger material use. They were careful, because a building is supposed to span at least 50 years.
At least.
At least.
And in Europe, you're going to find buildings that are spanning 100,
they
200
are
years.
very particular with their heritage. They're very particular with their preservation. They've preserved a lot of their history. So for them, they are very critical about those things. It also builds into that. So when you talk about clay not being properly, whatever, that comes from workmanship. The people who are actually doing the preparation of the clay need knowledge. And we've had innovations, at least Mateke University has had a department that is really into this. And we have architectural firms, we have engineers that have grouped together to come up with a proper way of having a clay brick that can be used in construction. What we'd call with no added plaster. And then we have somewhere in Masaka Road, I think there's a Catholic place, I forget, Butende also, that is having a kiln. That's one of the best places where they have these clay bricks, small clay bricks that are used in construction. So we have people that are doing genuine materials. Just know, you just need to know where to find them. Now, the architect usually, because we interface a lot with the manufacturers, the suppliers, we get to know this information and we can say, you know what, for this particular project, this would be the best. We have Uganda clays, for example, as a master in the clay. So you recommend and say, this for this project, we would recommend. Even in us, in our drawings, we specify materials.
The product, the materials, and where you can get the best
so we say this room, you're going to have this particular tile, blah, 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 and you specify. The roof, you're going to have this. And the documents that you prepare, what we'd call a tender document, a bill of quantities, have clauses on making sure the workmanship is good.
So architects do their part and do it right. But then the client sometimes decides to cut corners. That's how you find floor tiles on the walls, or you find bathroom tiles in the kitchen. That's not the fault of the architect. It's the client trying to cut.
You've spoken it.
Because we see these things, right?
Absolutely,
we see,
absolutely.
And I think that has even contributed to some of the deaths we have seen in bathrooms, because sometimes the wrong tiles are put in the wrong place. So clients out there, they need to hire the right people. But now let's go back to the symposium. Who are some of the major guests that will be speaking at the symposium, and what's their expertise?
Well, the details of the guests I might not divulge, but we have professionals, experts in project financing. Some of them are flying in. They are flying in because they love what they do, and we've interfaced with them. We have experts in all these, in these, I don't want to mention the names because some of them are a bit high profile here. The guest of honors, we've really invited people and they are going to come. All we need is for our people, general public. When you hear symposium, it's for architects, but many people fold their hands and they're like, maybe they're going to discuss architectural things.
They're going to go there and just give speeches and talk non-stop.
There is a lot of information sharing. We have sponsors who have put in money showcasing products. So you're going to have a one-stop center of sorts of a lot of things in the construction industry. Yeah, so what I would like to say is the speakers have been lined up, confirmed. We have even lawyers coming because, you know, you have lawyers who are doing arbitration. That's also part of the built environment. So there's a lot of excitement. We have planners, we have surveyors, we have interior designers. All those are coming.
So when it comes to the diverse professionals that are going to attend this symposium, how exactly has the association ensured that people get quality for money?
Well, an architect, even from our training, we are taught to be excellent. We've interfaced with the public, to be honest. There are things you see that accrue from your training as an architect that contribute to excellency. So when you're planning an event, you leave no stone unturned. You can, every event that we've planned, we have gone into the detail. Yeah, the detail. I sit on the planning committee of the symposium, and we've been putting our heads together every day from the time we announced. So there's been a lot of meticulous planning. When you come, even the topics, we have people who are, some of our members belong to the academia, yeah, who are sought out. When we have the themes, we share them with some of the members of the fraternity, and they contribute paper writing, whatever, to be able to boost the knowledge sharing. So if you want to talk about a symposium and value for money, you're going to have it.
That's a given.
It's a given.
Okay.
There is a lot that is going to be shared. We're only saying come. The fees are for the general public, 250,000. One day at Imperial Royal Hotel, we'll start at 8 a.m. The day is packed. So you only come and get knowledge, because you see knowledge, learning never stops.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I understand there is an architectural clinic that will take place before the main event. Tell us more about that.
The architectural clinic is planned on the 18th and 19th at Oasis Mall.
Yes.
The main purpose of the architectural clinic is the first ever we are having. When we thought about the symposium, we thought of engaging the public, because our interface with the public, you inclusive, you don't know who an architect is.
Yeah.
Today you're learning.
Words. We learn every day.
Yes. So we would like to talk about ourselves.
Yes.
Who is an architect? What do they do? Because many people think that drawings belong to the domain of an engineer.
That's right.
So we would like to, if you have a question, because this is going to be a free day, no payment. We have members who are...
That is the architecture.
The clinic at
yes.
Oasis Mall.
Yes.
It's going to be a free day, so the general public is invited. Come and ask questions. You see what the lawyers do?
Yes.
They put up somewhere and then they say, we are going to offer services. Come and ask questions.
Doctors do medical camps where people are getting free. So here people are going to get free architectural advice.
Yes.
To make, okay.
Yeah. For example, if I mention condominium, do you understand what it means?
I do, but there are
the
many
general
people
public
who may not.
Yes. If you talk about, these are the things we've talked about. If I have a 50 by 100, what can I put there? Quickly, I'll tell you this one, of course, without doing the sketches, because we have a code of ethics that governs what we should divulge to the public as architects. But we are explaining who an architect is, so that people begin to understand us. You know, people think we are too English. Let me use that word. We speak too much English.
Too much.
They are expensive. They are unapproachable. When you look at them, It's just like when you're going to do shopping and you say, I think Chikubu prices are better than the supermarket. Yet, when you go to the supermarket, you'll actually find the items you can purchase.
I have realized that sometimes it's not necessary to go somewhere because the prices are more or less the same.
So the architect is not what people think. Because when you mention an architect, everyone, the first thing they will say, those are expensive, we'll not go there. Let's look for the engineers to do a small sketch for us, and we build.
And then a few years later, the building is collapsing.
No, you break while
constructing.
constructing.
You
break
I know people
while
that are
constructing.
always breaking and constructing. Now, for me, I always thought they're doing that because they are seeking perfection, so they keep breaking and reconstructing.
No. Someone will, the engineer will come and put up for example, your sitting room, what we call the lounge, and it's smaller than your bedroom. And it's already put up. So you're entering the house and you say, how do I have a bigger bedroom than? And they were telling you, no.
The sitting room.
The sketch here was okay. The dimension, when they misread, they misinterpreted. Because we've had also that challenge that what the dimensions we use on a drawing, many people who are on the site can't interpret them. So that information is going to be there. We're going to have presence of the Architects Registration Board as well. We're going to have presence of some of the key players on those pro bono, what we'd call the architectural clinic days.
Okay.
It's free.
It's
no
free.
payment.
No payment.
No charging anyone because of whatever. People might fear, I think they're going to trap us. No, there's no trapping. It's disseminating knowledge, who an architect is. And professionally, what are we supposed to do? What is our code of ethics? What governs us? Yes.
So again, I will ask, I know you talked about it earlier, but if someone has just joined us, I would like for them to know, who is invited to the symposium? Is it only architects or even Olive, maybe if I have plans of construction, I can attend. And maybe I sell construction material, I run a hardware or anything else regarding construction. Am I invited?
Absolutely. You're a player in the built environment. If you're going to put up your house, you're the next client. And you'll need to know the source of materials.
Yes.
Yeah, you need knowledge. If you get that knowledge, you just can't make decisions and insist, I want a flat roof, for example. That knowledge will help you make certain decisions. So you're invited. We have a slot for non-members, like I said earlier, who are going to pay 250,000. We have bank accounts, the flyers that are being shared on our social media platforms where people can pay, or we can have a contact. We even have an email. So they have all open platforms where you can contact us if you want to get payment, get payments done.
You can share the payment method.
The payment method, we have Momo. We have an account in Standard. The Momo code is 633540. We have an account number in Standard Chartered Bank, the USA account. When you go to and you want to pay, you ask for Uganda Society of Architects account, you can pay there. We have, if you want details of, when you finish paying, we issue a receipt, because you'll have to present that when you come for registration at the symposium.
So if I've not paid online, but I've carried my cash and I come to Imperial Royal, can I pay at the gate?
Well, that would be nice to have, but you know, the hotel plans for guests. So early payment would be good for us to plan for the number of guests. Yes, we will not refuse, but it kind of destabilizes our planning.
All right.
Yes.
And the $1 million question, if I pay my 250, am I getting lunch?
Yes.
I needed to know that.
Food exists there.
Okay.
That package comes with a meal, meals. Yeah, with a meal, yes.
Okay, because I've attended events of that nature where you've paid quite an arm and a leg, and yes, that knowledge you get is really vital, but then there is no meal. So it's important for us to clarify that.
Everything that we do, like I tell you, we're very meticulous. You know, these are things we handle, finances. So when you get to an event is like okay, I don't want to use chips and chicken. It's something you know the basics. It's not something we've done for the first time. So we plan for the meals. We can't keep people there the entire day without meals.
Without meals.
No.
So you pay 250,000 to attend, non-members,
yes,
to attend the symposium that will be at Imperial Royal Hotel.
Yes.
Which date?
20th September.
20th September.
It will be a Friday.
It will be a Friday.
Yes.
So plan and put it on your calendar. Also, as you make your budget, the month has not really moved so much, so you still have salary from last month. But also, architects and construction people, you have money.
That's a nice one.
Anyway, jokes aside, you can attend this event even if you're not an architect. It will be on the 20th of September 2024 at Imperial Royal Hotel. If you are not a registered architect, you will have to pay the 250,000 shillings. But I will tell you, I've never attended this one, but I've attended other symposiums of that same nature, and they don't leave you the same if you work in that industry. So I believe that this is worth your while. You should attend it and see how you can improve your construction business, whatever sector you're in regarding that. I believe you will benefit so much from this. And architect, I'm getting used to that title.
Yeah, that's
Catherine.
nice. You're doing great. You're doing great. Yeah.
Okay. So we've touched on the invited guests, and that is the general public and also the registered architects themselves. And so for those attending, what networking and collaboration opportunities should the participants expect to find at the symposium?
That's going to be immense. That's going to be immense. Actually, when we plan these events, we only don't lock them in for ourselves. Because you need everyone that I've mentioned.
Yes.
You need the lawyers, you need the surveyors, you need the engineers, you need the planners, you know. So there's going to be great networking opportunities. I've told you we have exhibitions by material suppliers, quite a lot of innovative products, paints, you know, products in, for example, steel, construction.
And these are legit suppliers.
Absolutely.
So what better place to find them than at the symposium?
Yes. So it's going to be a great networking opportunity. We really, we have, okay, not hopeful, we ask that you come and be a part of the event.
So you're not only learning, but you're also getting great networks and contacts for your own good. Now, as we close, there is this, let's look forward at the US plan to build, because I believe that is also key. Plan to build on the outcomes of the symposium to continue supporting and development, supporting growth and development in Uganda's construction sector. What does US plan to build mean?
The Uganda Society of Architects, of course, when we have events like this, we don't only stop at that event. We have continuous talks, because you see some of these things are continuously affecting the built environment. If you've heard of the topic of climate change, that has come as a result of the sector of the built environment having a big contribution. For example, so you cannot come and just talk about sustainable building materials and not follow up the conversation with the applications. Yeah. So the plan to build further on these items is to ensure that when you attend the symposium, when you get this knowledge, you apply it or you disseminate it, especially the people who are non-members, because us, we get continuous internal continuous professional development seminars that talk about some of these things. But we've noticed that when we come, we are loaded with knowledge, and the people we are trying to give our knowledge sometimes might not appreciate where we are coming from. So these are conversations that we are planning to continue having on different fora. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, the Uganda Society of Architects will be holding a symposium, a one-day symposium, on the 20th of September 2024 at the Imperial Royal Hotel. Non-members will pay 250,000 shillings for entries. Now, you're better off making the payment online so that they can plan and effectively, so that the event can take place without any anomalies whatsoever. So that's the information you need to make a payment and be there and enjoy, but also network and learn so much. Thank you so much, Architect Catherine Muyinda.
You're doing great on the site.
Thank you so much for speaking with us and also educating us. But also, I believe many people should look forward to this event.
Yeah, even the clinics. Actually, the architectural clinics are a build-up of the symposium. This is where we need the public. We really need people there. It's going to be a blast.
So the architectural clinic will be at Oasis Mall, and that is on Wednesday.
18th and 19th.
Yes, that is 18th and 19th, which is Wednesday and Thursday, and then the main event will be on the 20th.
Yes.
So be there, but this is where our conversation is ending. I'm Olive Monica Najuma, and I'll say goodbye. I'll catch up with you again tomorrow at 6:30. Ruben Pima is coming up next with sports updates. Stick around.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
He expected me to die like within the first 2 years.
Out of the blue, the child will get pains, especially in the wrists. And this happens commonly when children are starting to walk.
Was brought to you by
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25